Inside the Deck is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, sellers of Magic the Gathering and many other card and board games. GatheringMagic.com, #1 resource on Magic the Gathering, strategy, and culture.
In order to win a 4,300 person event, you have to run very good. And so I decided to choose a deck that if I ran extraordinarily good, I would win the tournament, and there would be nothing my opponents could do about it. I was also not interested in interacting with my opponents. I wanted to be the one applying the pressure. And I'm also very good with 2-card combo decks. So this is right in my wheelhouse. I felt very comfortable with the deck, and if I ran extraordinarily well, I had a chance to give myself the tournament. Hi, I'm Ruben Bressler, and I am playing Ad Nauseam. So what the deck is trying to do is get to 6 mana, 2 of it being black and 1 of it being white, and then cast Angel's Grace and Ad Nauseam in the same turn. Angel's Grace creates a new rule for the turn that says that you cannot lose for any reason. And if you would take damage that would reduce your life below 1, it goes to 1 instead. What that means is that you can go to -45 or whatever number. And with Ad Nauseam, you're paying life to draw cards. So basically the combo is you play Angel's Grace and then you play Ad Nauseam and draw your entire deck. Well, now once you have your deck in your hand, what do? Well, this version kills with Lightning Storm, which is a cold snap uncommon that has an activated ability. It's a little bit of a weird one, but basically it means once you get your entire deck in your hand, you play Lightning Storm with 3 Simian Spirit Guides, or whatever mana you have left over, and you discard many lands to deal them around 15 to 25 damage. The deck's been going very well. The deck has a very consistent turn 4 and also has a fairly consistent turn 3. Basically what you need is you play turn 1 any land and whatever you want, be it a cantrip or a scry land or something like that. Turn 2, you play an untapped land and play Pentad Prism. Turn 3, you play your 3rd land, untapped, and you remove a Simian Spirit Guide. That gives you 2 from the Pentad Prism, 3 from your lands, and 1 from the Monkey. That's 6 total. As long as 2 of them are black and 1 of them is white, you can play Angel's Grace and Ad Nauseam in the same turn. The turn 4 is much more consistent because you have Lotus Bloom in your deck. Theoretically, it is possible to go off on turn 2 on the draw with Gemstone Cavern in a very similar manner to the turn 3. Basically, you just go turn 0 Gemstone, turn 1 land Pentad Prism, turn 2 land Simian Spirit Guide, and the combo. The redundant combo piece in Phyrexian Unlife also said that you can't lose the game for having 0 or less life. So if you have that in play when you cast Ad Nauseam, it's basically another Angel's Grace for the purposes of the combo. The way that you amass the combo, if you don't naturally draw it, is we have 4 Serum Visions, 4 Sleight of Hand as the main cantrips. We also have 2 copies of Peer Through Depths, which don't dig for mana sources if you happen to need those, but they do find both combo pieces, Ad Nauseam and Angel's Grace, as well as certain pieces of protection, which I'll get to. There's also the Mystical Teachings, which is a very slow, methodical card. It's actually able to tutor up both halves of the combo. So against slower matchups or slower draws, it's much more important. Some of the protection that I have a Slaughter Pact to be able to deal with anything that's either pressuring me or that would kill me on the spot, like a Malira, or that would prevent me from going off on my combo like an Aethersworn Canonist. I also have 3 Pact of Negation to be able to deal with opposing counter spells like Cryptic Command while only needing the 6 mana to go off. The mana base looks a little wonky. If you look at a deck list, you might be thinking to yourself, really? Temples in Modern? I'm running 4 Temples, 2 Deceit and 2 Enlightenment. They're actually really good and necessary for the deck. They're just sort of half of cantrips that are basically free rolls, because you can play tapped lands a lot to be able to kill on turn 4, or even you can play one on turn 1 for that turn 3 kill. There are a couple of weird lands in here as well. There's Gemstone Cavern, which is not a card you expect to see a lot of, but it actually has its place in the deck. It allows you to get faster draws when you're on the draw. Sometimes very important when you're playing against other combo decks. And there's also a copy of Beseiju, who shelters all, which is very important against decks like Rug Twin and Blue-White Red. The sideboard is also a little bit wonky. So we have 3 Hurkyl's Recalls, mostly for the affinity matchup because it's a time walk against them at instant speed. It's able to prevent all the damage during the attack step and bounce a bunch of things to their hand. We have 3 Leyline of Sanctity. That's mostly to deal with discard spells, but also comes in against Ad Nauseam, Mirror Matches, and Storm. Drown in Sorrow is a weird one. It's very good against Melirapod, because Melirapod has switched away from being a combo deck and more into a weird beatdown deck. The Silence is in the sideboard to deal with cards like Counterflux or Trickbind that might otherwise be able to stop me mid-combo. The Teferi is mostly for control. Blue, white, red, heavy counterspell decks. Can also come in against Gifts. It's also in the sideboard and comes in against the Mirror Match, which is miserable. The way the Mirror Match plays out is you just cast your Simian Spirit Guides and start attacking with them, because both players have Angel's Graces, so if either player tries to combo, typically they can just Angel's Grace in response, unless you cast Silence ahead of time, or if you have Teferi in play. Patrician Scorn destroys all enchantments. It destroys things like Suppression Field that I would otherwise have a lot of trouble with, or Leyline of Sanctity. Echoing Truth, generally able to bounce anything that's giving me trouble or is about to kill me. Tormod's Crypt, I'm able to transmute for it with Teleria West, so that's my graveyard hate of choice. Phyrexian Unlife, the 4th copy, is for decks like Zoo or Melirapod that can beat you down. Teleria West is in the sideboard because sometimes you want to sideboard out Boseiju, so whenever Boseiju comes out, you bring in the Teleria West, and also you bring in the Teleria West whenever you absolutely positively need Slaughter Pact, Pact of Negation, or Tormod's Crypt. The last Slaughter Pact is for decks that have non-black creatures. So it even comes in against Jund, despite the fact that they have Dark Confidant in their deck, to be able to deal with things like Raging Ravine and Tarmogoyf. There are a couple very good matchups. One of them is Burn. One of the reasons is we're a combo deck that is a consistent turn 4 combo deck, where Burn tends to go kill on turn 5-ish. I also consider all blue decks that are running Cryptic Command to be good matchups, because this deck can go off at instant speed. All of the combo pieces and the Lightning Storm can go off in response to a Restoration Angel or a Deceiver Exarch or any of those kind of pieces. The worst matchup by far is Poison or Infect, and that's for a couple of reasons as well. For much the same reasons that Burn is good, Infect is bad. Phyrexian Unlife does actual nothing against Infect. Angel's Grace means you can't lose that turn, but you still go to 10 poison, so when the next turn begins, you automatically lose as a state-based effect. Infect is an unwinnable matchup. The thing I like most about this deck is its unexpected nature. It is now a known entity. People know that the Ad Nauseam deck exists. But at this tournament, in spite of my opponents knowing that the deck exists, they didn't really have anything in the sideboard for it. So people are playing things like main deck Flame Slash and Path to Exile that they have to take out, and then they have to put in something. So my opponents are bringing in things that are okay, like Stony Silence, for example, or Leyline of Sanctity, but they're not great. They're not very good, because I have answers to all those things. I've beaten Aethersworn Canonists and Stony Silences and Defense Grids today, or this weekend. Most people aren't prepared for this deck.